say Taj Mahal or protecting some critical crop or critical monument, you prescribe a more stringent value. But why differentiate between industrial area and residential area? And at that time, my thinking was that if we apply the same standard, then it will be very difficult to implement, because in industrial area probably the existing concentrations are much higher in ambient air. But along with that, the other notion in my mind was that in industrial area, the standard that is applicable to standard area, nobody is going to stay all the 24 hours. You go only during his duty period. Also, a person who is working in industry is more healthy, is probably in the working ages, and he should be willing to take a higher risk. After all, he is making his living. On the other hand, in the residential and rural area, the person cannot run away from it. He is to live there all the time. And children also have to live there, old people also have to live there, and so on. And so I thought that the value should be lower, or the standard should be more stringent for residential and rural areas. But I think now in these new standards, one difference you find that standard has been removed, that separation has been removed. There is nothing like industrial area and residential area. Of course, the classification of sensitive areas stands, but this separate removal of industrial area as a separate category will probably create problems for many consultants, EIA, agencies, and even for some industry. Because in the name of industrial area, 500 SPM was permissible against 200 microgram per meter cube for residential area. Now once it is removed, they can't say that it is 400, so it is still permissible because it is in industrial area. So this aspect, you would realize that it would create some difficulties. But scientifically, it is a point that after all the health of a person, and there is no relationship shown that this is because of 8 hours or 24 hours. Another thing that one today finds is that industrial areas are very much mixed up with residential areas. Firstly, within the industrial premises also, they build quarters, for workers or whosoever, but these people are living there all the time. Such as one may say, cement plants, thermal power plants, their townships are often very close. And the other thing is that even if they don't build their township, right on their boundary, you find that there is a colony or a market that comes up. This is the industrial area. Here you say 500 is allowable, and just outside where there are houses, there is a residential area. So how can you reduce from 500 to 200 just by building a wall? So this was not only sort of unethical, but this was also practically not something which would seem reasonable. And so I feel that at that time prescribing separate limits for industrial area maybe have been desirable for implementation, but it was wrong, and so I fully supported. I was also a member of this committee which supported that there should now be no limit for industrial area separation. I think these standards are in your hands, and some of you will wonder that why even this sensitive area separation should remain. But I would remind you that if you look at, you will find that except in the case of sulfur dioxide and NO2, all other values are same. There is no difference between the general standard and sensitive area standard. I think for this sort of a thing, it would have been better that we did not have this table in that way, because it is only the upper two parameters where there is any difference between these two. So we could have pointed it out by a note below rather than making this table. I would remind you that sensitive area classification should not cause any problem to any one of you, because there is no difference in all the other parameters except sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide. And even for sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide, there is no difference in the 24-hour value. Just look at it. No difference between the 24-hour value. Same values for both. It is the only difference is in the annual. And so I would say that we have very much moved towards a single standard, like in United States or Europe or anywhere else. This area-wise differentiation has been removed. And since some of you would have problems with this, I think you will discuss it more when Tyagi Saab or Mrs. Pavana or these people are talking, because they are the people concerned with implementation. Some of you may feel about these limits, some of them whether they are more stringent or any of these. I feel that because the earlier standards were more based on the practicality of monitoring and implementation. You see, in the first standard, we stressed more on 24-hourly values, because we thought that it would be very difficult for anyone to generate even annual value. Another reason that I believe is that annual value should not have much meaning in India. The reason is that there is so much of difference between our climates. We have extreme cold, we have extreme heat. During the monsoon period for several months, we have almost all pollutants are washed out, and so are very low values. Now supposing you take an annual average. In annual average, you may have a parameter at a value of say 300 during December, January. It may come to a level of 50 during the rain months, and then it may be at 100 somewhere. You take the average, and you say the average was 100. Now this is like measuring the depth of the river at several points, taking the average, and because the average height of the person was more than that, saying that you can cross. But when you come to the deeper point, you will just not be able to cross. So I think that when we are talking of this health impact, annual average in our conditions does not have much purpose. If for several days during the winter you have a very high pollution level, then you can't say that your health will be protected because the annual average is satisfied. So personally, I am not very much concerned with annual average, except for some very long-term chronic effects like cancer, like any other sort of bone damage or these things, where this is cumulative. And yet, because world over one is all the time talking of annual average. Now, then the question comes about the annual average. How do you get it? And one can say that if you have an online instrument, then a computerized system, and you get an annual average, but now you don't have to do anything at all. But if you are doing it manually, then you will do it all the 365 days. And this looks very impractical, that every day you collect a sample and analyze and this sort of a thing. That is why at that time also it was said that you do twice a week, and then it becomes 104 values. But this was only at the minimum number. It doesn't mean that you do just 104, no more than that. Another aspect is which 104 days. In every week, if you take up Monday, Tuesday every week or Monday, Thursday every week, I don't think that you are going to land up what you can say the real annual average, because now Envirotech also has data of online systems where we find that Sunday values may be quite different than the values on a weekday, because either less people are moving or more people are moving. And if you consider Diwali period or say Christmas or a New Year, then you will find that because the activity level changes, so the air quality levels may also change. So I think that a better system will be when these dates are not fixed, and these dates in some ways keep on moving. You sometimes have on Monday, sometimes have on Wednesday, sometimes have it on Sunday, so that you are able to get an average which is probably more representative.